Nosy Nancy's is a true crime podcast based in Austin, Texas. If you are sensitive to any of the trigger words, this is not the podcast for you. Due to its graphic nature, listener discretion is advised.
Somewhere between the sandy and again. Well, I was just pretending that it's all just a dream. A little condescending to believe in it. I'm getting the notion that I'm going all in.
Hey, all you nosies. I'm Alequah.
And I'm Jasmine, and welcome to Nosy Nancy's Season 2, Episode 6.
6. Man, it took me all week to edit that last episode. And then, I'm sorry, but the very ending where we usually say goodbye, cut off.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened either. I'm wondering.
And I'm not taking the blame.
No, it probably was me. I probably deleted it during my editing, but here's the thing is I don't mind leaving our listeners wanting more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You always gotta leave them wanting more.
For real, we gotta play a little hard to get. Otherwise, are they gonna keep coming back? Probably not. It's just psychology.
It's true.
Yeah. Manipulation 101. So you've had a pretty busy week.
I have had a pretty busy week. My work, we work, on Saturdays throughout the holidays, which is fine, but it's from 10 to 4. So it's the better part of an entire day. So I feel like I'm shackled to the office. I feel like I never see my little Todd, even though we see each other every day.
Even though you live together.
Yeah. So I'm just God, I miss Todd so much. And then just last night we went to a friend's Christmas party. And after Thanksgiving, I told Todd, I'm going to cut myself off. So I had a few shots and a couple of beers. And then I was I'm not doing anything else. But I fell out of their back door.
What?
I fell. Well, I stumbled because there's a drop off that I guess I thought I had, but I didn't. So I fell. And it's so stupid. I fell backwards. So, I landed on my butt with, both of my feet touching the ground. Somehow, bruised the top of my left foot. It's swollen. And it doesn't look bruised. It just is swollen. And, I can't walk around. I can't walk around now. But right now, it takes me, 3 minutes to walk from the living room to, the bedroom. Because I'm hobbling around like some old lady living in the woods.
I mean, I know I'm not a physicist or a doctor or really anything, but you would think that if you fell on your ass would be swollen and hurt.
I know, what the fuck happened to my foot? And then we get home later and on the opposite ankle, I'm there's blood there, and I'm what the fuck did I do?
Oh my God, maybe you should just live in the woods. Maybe it's safer there for you.
I know, I guess so. All this fucking cement is too dangerous for me.
It's too dangerous.
And I'm looking up, how, what do you do for a bruised foot? And it's oh, it's a common sports injury. And I'm God, I'm so fat that when I'm falling, it's considered a sports injury.
Us just walking is considered a sport. Okay?
Seriously, my heart rate is out of control. Yeah, it's true. I'm very sporty. When I'm falling.
No, if we were the Spice Girls, you would be Sporty Spice for sure.
It's true. Old Mel C.
Well, I don't know about you, but I have a lot to talk about this episode as far as the case goes. So maybe we should just get into it.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just move right along. So
yeah,
are you going first or me?
No, you go ahead and go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that you don't love the Spice Girls, which clearly
I was gonna say, not that
you're not as much of an avid fan as me.
Yeah,
But
how many
okay.
posters do you have?
I
Yeah,
used
how
to
many
have a
posters?
lot. I was really into the Spice Girls. I didn't realize that you weren't.
Well, I mean, no. I was more into like No Doubt and Gwen Stefani and like Garbage,
I mean, I
you
was
know.
into that shit too, but like later on when it was popular.
Well, but I'm like, how many years older am I than you? Like 4? So you gotta think like by the time the Spice Girls were like big, I was already like basically I was in junior high.
Okay, you old
And
woman. Okay.
yeah, who's the
4
old
years
woman out living in the woods now?
4 years
Me.
difference.
I know. What we might as well just do is just end it all and like live in the woods as bog witches.
Oh my God,
Honestly.
yes. If Todd can come, I'm totally down.
Yeah, no, Todd can be he can like go forage for us, find our newts and our toads and our, whatever raven claws, whatever witchy
Whatever we
things.
need. He can be our little warlock. He can help us out.
He could be our yearly sacrifice to the old gods. Yeah.
What?
Anyways, so what do you that poor Todd. He's like out of here. Let's get into this.
Get into the case. Okay, well, mine's
get into the case.
so fucking frustrating. Honestly, looking into this really made me pissed off.
Everybody's already irritated. We got tinsel in our hair and lights in our eyes.
Yeah.
It's just,
hate it. I hate Christmas.
Hate it.
I'm kidding. I love Christmas.
I do too, actually. Secretly, I love Christmas.
Okay, so on Sunday, May 22nd, 1983, at around 9:30 a.m., a group of softball players found the body of Esther Broberg, who was 35 years old. She was only about 3 miles from her home in Gibbons Park.
Where's Gibbons Park at?
God damn it. Hang
I'll
on.
look.
Let me look.
Okay.
So Gibbons Park is around East 12th Street.
Oh, okay.
She was found pretty close to the swimming pool, near the park's pool. She had been stabbed 11 times in her neck, cheek, back, and her buttocks.
Jesus Christ.
And she had
what
also...
is up with that?
I know, what the fuck? She'd also been run over. And she was found naked. Her clothes were found like around her body, and she had been raped.
Oh.
The autopsy...
This is terrible.
I know. The autopsy concluded that she had bled to death within 10 minutes from her stab wounds, and that she roughly had been killed less than 2 hours before she was found. So this would have been around like 7:30 or 7 in the morning.
Another and in May that's like, that's daylight time, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Like these, like our last cases, these people were doing things in broad daylight with the apartment managers. It's like these motherfuckers are bold.
Exactly. Like, what the fuck?
What was she doing that early? Like, was she like going to school? Was she walking to work?
So the evening before her murder, what police kind of started piecing together was that Esther had dinner on Saturday with her ex-husband, Roy Broberg, who was 61 years old. Now, her and Roy had been together. Obviously, they were married before. And they divorced, and he ended up having like a motorcycle. Sorry, it was a car accident.
Okay.
So he ended up having some serious injuries from a car accident, and Esther had moved back in with him to take care of him, and they kind of were rekindling things, and they were actually planning to get remarried. So
that's romantic.
Yeah. But so she had dinner on Saturday with him, and he dropped her off, he said, between like 10 or 10:30, at the East Austin Tavern to meet with some friends of hers. She then went from the tavern to Ernie's Chicken Shack, which, is that still around?
I don't think so. I've never heard of it, at least.
I haven't either.
I love chicken. I think I would have known. I wonder where that is now.
I'm trying to see. I don't think it's there anymore.
Oh, Weberville.
Well, this particular location that she went to, I think was pretty close to Givens Park because so her and her friends went to Ernie's Chicken Shack around like 2 a.m. because it was like a late night bar. And then at around 5:30, her friends last saw her like walking in the direction of Givens Park. So around like 5:30 is when she was, I guess, gonna go
she was
home.
walking home early in the morning.
She was actually supposed to call Roy, her ex-husband, for a ride home, and she never called.
Oh, God.
The people who she was out with that night were her longtime friend Paula Fallon, who has passed away since then. Paula's brother, Jose Reyes, remember that name.
Okay.
And Paula's son, Robert Reyes. And one of Robert's friends, Fernando Estrada. So Jose Reyes was around like 35. Robert Reyes, her friend's Paula's son, was 18, and then Robert's friend Fernando was 20 years old. They all left Ernie's around the same time. Is what the police were told.
Okay.
Originally.
Right.
So on June 9th, a few weeks after the murder, Jose Reyes came out to the police and told his version of the events that took place. In a signed affidavit, Jose said that they left Ernie's with his nephew Robert and Fernando. They found Esther and forced her into Fernando's 1976 blue Lincoln sedan before driving her to Givens Park, where the three men took turns holding her down and raping her.
So he confessed to it?
He confessed. Reyes alleged that Esther did fight back, so Robert Reyes cut Esther's throat, and that Fernando Estrada, like, cut her stomach. The three then got back in the car, and Fernando ran her over. All three of them were charged with capital murder, but the charges against Fernando Estrada and Robert Reyes were dropped because there really was no evidence that they were there. And in Texas law, there's actually a law where a person can't be convicted of a crime just based on the statements of a co-conspirator. So they couldn't hold Estrada or Reyes. So they just decided to pursue Jose. In 1984, a state district judge ordered a psychologist and a psychiatrist to examine Jose Reyes, and both found that he was incompetent to stand trial and believed that he was unlikely that he would ever become confident that he would ever become competent in the future. I'm sure his confidence was through the roof, but his competency was lacking.
What the fuck?
So some of the things that both the psychologist and the psychiatrist said about Jose Reyes was that he didn't have the mental ability to waive his constitutional rights before he spoke with the police. His IQ was 51. He couldn't add 4 plus 5 or remember 4 numbers spoken to him. And then based on that testimony, a jury agreed that he was not competent to stand trial.
To me, that sounds like he probably would be easily swayed to do something too.
I mean, that's true. But,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now this is Jose. He's the older one. He was the 35-year-old?
Jose was the 35-year-old brother of Esther's friend, Paula.
And this is the guy that they found was incompetent.
Yes. This is the guy who confessed, and they found him incompetent. So the prosecution and the court-ordered psychiatrist pushed for institutionalization for Jose. But a second jury came in and decided that, no, he's able to function in the community, like, he doesn't need to be institutionalized. And he was deemed not a danger to himself or to others. So the murder charge against him was dismissed in 1985. What? Yes.
Oh my God.
And he was allowed to be back among society with the people. Following the dismissal of the murder charge, Jose, who was living with his mom around the corner from Gibbons Park, ended up moving in with his sister and her husband when their mom passed away in 1990. Okay. So his sister and her husband kind of helped watch over him and make sure that he was okay. He actually was blind in one eye. He had an injury from a bow and arrow accident.
Oh my God.
So he already was blind in one eye, but he started losing sight in the other eye. He was semi-self-sufficient, but I mean, he was a little slow.
Right. Right. Well, it just makes me wonder because, with the case of the confession killer, I forget his name, the police really pushed him to confess to all these crimes that he didn't actually do.
Right.
And if somebody was that had that low of a IQ, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they knew that he was with her at some point at the night,
Yeah.
They probably could have pushed him to confess to something that he actually didn't really do.
True.
I don't know.
But you're about to feel differently.
Okay.
Everybody kind of was like, oh yeah, well, he's very slow. He's very tender. We all love him. We're all taking care of him. In 1996... Jose was indicted on 2 separate charges of indecency with a child by contact.
Mm.
Both of his nieces, one was 8 and the other was under 17 at the time, had told police that they were fondled by Jose in separate incidents. The charges were again dismissed when he was found incompetent to stand trial, and they even kept him at the sister's house where the nieces were.
Are you joking me? This is, oh my God. Why would you even do that?
I know.
Why would you keep him? Why would he be allowed to stay in the same fucking, oh my God.
So he confessed to Esther's murder, confessed to raping her, confessed to stabbing her. He implicated the other 2, but obviously they couldn't do anything.
Right.
He's found incompetent, and they just release him. No institutions or anything. Oh, then there's this issue with the nieces. He's found incompetent again, and again they're saying no, he's fine. He doesn't need to be institutionalized.
No, he does.
In fact,
at this point,
send him back to the house where these girls are.
Yeah, that would not fly now. And I mean, that wasn't there's no way that people would let that happen now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With it being in 1996, I mean, it still hits a little close to home because it's come on. I mean, really? No. Come on.
Yeah. Right. God, that is frustrating. What the fuck? I don't have children, but if somebody did that to my niece or nephew, I'd be going to prison because that motherfucker would be strung up behind my car. I'll tell you that.
Honestly, I could not even imagine being a parent right now. I was telling Todd, we're on, I don't know if you're on Nextdoor, But
Yeah, I used to
are
be.
you? Yeah,
Yeah.
so someone had posted like that a sex offender had moved to our area, and I was like, oh, interesting. And I like created an account on the little website just to see who's around. Every single person, child pornography charge, indecency with a child, like they're all
Oh.
related to children, and it's like, God.
Listening to a podcast about this like huge underground like child sex ring
Mhm.
that they busted in the early 2000s. It was based in Australia, and the lead detective at the time of that bust was like talking about how, you know, now with the age of technology, it's a lot more dangerous for children.
Hell
It's
yeah.
it's like, yeah, the field has changed, right? The like back in the 80s, you know, people were afraid of being picked up by somebody, you know, just in a car, and that did happen, but
Right.
like the chances of you coming across a predator like that in like with your children in society was a lot lower.
Yeah.
Whereas if your child is on the internet now, their chances of crossing a predator on the internet is like
100% probably.
100%. Yeah, no, the percentage is insane.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how many people like and how much access we give, you know, these predators to, you know, to our children. You know,
Exactly.
my brother and my sister-in-law, they don't put any pictures up of their girls, my nieces, not only because of like the, you know, you don't know who's looking at the pictures, right? And in itself that's kind of creepy.
Right.
But also because the as a child under the age of, you know, 12 or 10, you can't give your consent to having your picture on the internet. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
So,
makes
and
complete sense because it is.
right,
It's fucking dangerous. Like,
it is dangerous. And so you really have to, like, as somebody who doesn't have children, like, I don't ever think about that. Like, I
yeah.
post pictures of my dogs all the time, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like, so you're right. Like, I couldn't imagine being a parent either. Like, my kid would have no internet devices.
Yeah.
We're going back to the 1800s,
Yeah.
okay?
We're living that Amish lifestyle.
Yes. Yeah. Do not talk to anybody that isn't me. That's how I would be. Because
Yeah.
it's like if you have children, like you really do, you have to protect them.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's
Exactly.
your
That's
number
your
one
job.
priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, who
Yeah,
can you
like
trust?
you literally nobody. Like, and like I don't know if you heard of that teacher. There was a teacher who like made cupcakes with her husband's semen in them
Ew.
for
What?
like a bake sale. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Also, I feel like that's a super huge health hazard. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong, but I wasn't like, ew. I was never like, ew, how unhealthy. I was like, what a sick bitch.
I'm like, this is not FDA approved. Like, like this. There's gonna be some lawsuits there.
Yeah.
Gross, man.
Ugh.
There was that story about the teacher who had a sexual relationship and fell in love supposedly with her 12-year-old student and had his kid. Do you
Oh,
remember
Mary
that?
Kay Letourneau or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
And they're
like,
still together, I'm pretty sure.
no, she's dead. She died.
Is she really?
Oh yeah, they got married, then they got divorced, then she died of breast cancer.
Oh. I remember seeing some ad that was like a Van Halen night, and it was like Hot for Teacher, and she was gonna be like
Oh,
the
God.
star of the show.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's gross that
Yeah.
we're like idolizing that kind of stuff. And ugh, I don't know. That was a big rant we just went into.
I know. People are sick and disgusting. So let's talk
Moral
more
of the
about
story.
it. Yeah. Let's talk more about it. So at this point in time, Esther's case had kind of gone cold, and it was resurrected by APD whenever the breaks in technology finally came. And unfortunately, they were handwriting a bunch of shit for Esther's case, and so all the shit that was kept on paper was lost.
Ugh.
But there
so
were,
frustrating.
I know, there were semen and blood samples that were retested.
Oh, good.
From Estrada's car. So
Okay.
they were found in Estrada's car. 2 male DNA profiles were identified. And the evidence positively connected Jose Reyes as someone who was involved in the crime. So he did do it.
Is he still alive?
He is still alive.
Oh.
He is in Mexia.
Mexia.
It's near Waco.
Oh, everything is near Waco. I swear to God. Okay, I see. Yeah, it's in between Palestine and Waco.
Yeah.
Who knows what he's fucking doing there? That's a small-ass town.
So Estrada had long claimed that he wasn't there that night, he didn't know Esther, and that he was falsely accused. Robert Reyes had been in and out of prison, like, since basically 1990 on drug and burglary charges, but neither DNA matched any evidence. So there was no new evidence for Robert Reyes or Fernando Estrada. But there was that positive link to Jose Reyes. So in September of 2006, the charges were refiled against Jose Reyes, who was 58 years old. He again confessed in participating in Esther's rape and murder.
What the fuck, dude? He's confessed twice now to this rape and murder.
And he was once again in 2007 found incompetent to stand trial.
No.
Yeah.
If I was the family of Esther, I would be so fucking mad. Like, this is infuriating. Yeah. This guy needs to be put in prison. And you know what? How do you even know he wasn't faking, like, not knowing what 5 + 4
Yeah,
is?
exactly. Like, I mean, I'm not, like, super duper smart, but I would know enough to sit there and be like, oh, I don't know how to spell my name. You know, like, it's very easy to act stupid. So they finally pushed to have him institutionalized in 2007. And there he is in the Mexia State School, which is a supported living center where he's going to spend the rest of his life.
No, he needs to be in prison.
Yeah.
Not only did he kill Esther, but he fucked up the lives of 2 little girls.
Yeah, exactly.
His sister's own children.
And he's admitting this to everybody. But old Jose, he's so childlike and innocent. He doesn't know any better. Clearly, he knows what he's doing. However, you're probably like, well, shit, if they got him eventually, what's the deal? How is this a cold case? Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, because that doesn't... You're right, actually. I forgot that this was a cold case.
Esther's daughter learned that they have a partial print and blood from an unknown suspect that they cannot find a match for. So there is another person who is involved in Esther Broberg's murder. And due to the fact that they have no leads on who that person is, she is still an active case on APD's cold case homicide website.
I just know this is never going to get solved. And even if they do find the person who the partial print belongs to, they're never going to fucking convict him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows how competent he might be?
Yeah, right.
You know, does he know how to spell his own name? Well, I don't know. He saw fucking Jose Reyes stay out for a long ass time because he can't add 4 and 5 together.
I mean, the fact that Jose Reyes didn't turn in this mystery man kind of shows that he is competent.
Yeah, exactly.
He obviously is, like, keeping this person, like, protected.
I mean, if you know enough to know what you did was wrong to where you're confessing to the police.
Yeah. That is such a frustrating case.
It really is. And it just speaks to the fucking... it just speaks to our entire judicial system.
Yeah.
Like, people are never going to be able to get justice for some of these. And it's ridiculous. And it's fucking sad.
I mean, just like Raul, in Raul's case, Raul Meza Jr., like, the fucking judicial system failed us with him big time because they would catch him, but then they just kept releasing him back into the fucking wild where he would kill more people. Yeah. Texas really does not give a shit about anybody unless they're unborn.
I mean, are you not speaking the absolute truth?
I am.
So, we were actually talking about this earlier, and I was telling Todd, like, my whole life, like, all I've heard is that Texas, like, they love, you know, they love the old, like, capital murder. They want to pin whatever on whoever. Mm-hmm. They want to keep you in prison for the longest time possible. They love the death penalty. Like, Texas is harsh on crime. No, they're fucking not. No, they're not.
No, and they don't give a shit. Like, newsflash, they don't give a shit about your children if they're letting a guy who confessed to molesting his own nieces live with them still after the confession.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. Texas does not care about children at all.
Exactly.
They don't care. And they don't care about their people either. If anything ever happens to you violently, you're never going to get the justice you deserve. Anyways. You ready to hear about mine?
I am.
So I know that we're doing these cold cases to kind of help get, you know, bring awareness and eventually, like, maybe it could lead to somebody cracking a case or you know, getting the truth out. But this case is like it's probably not ever going to happen because this crime took place in 1946. This is like a 78-year-old case. And like they just did not have the technology back then.
Right. I'm sure too, probably a lot of evidence was lost during that time period.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because it's pretty interesting and there's a lot of information. And I had never really heard about this case before. But apparently, at the time, it was a big. I mean, they had a movie made after it.
The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Yes, The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll just pretend like you don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I've never heard of this movie. I can't wait to learn.
Right. Good. I can't wait to teach you.
Oh, slow down, Mary Kay.
Side note, women can have babies with other women by like a bone marrow.
Yes.
Something to do with a bone marrow.
I heard that.
But it would always be like a girl.
Only girl babies, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not the solution to like our world issues, I don't know what the fuck is.
I don't know either.
All right. I just want our listeners to mull that over a little bit.
Just think about it.
Yeah, just think about it. In the late winter and spring of 1946, in and around the Texarkana region of Texas and Arkansas, there were 4 unsolved serial murders and related violent crimes that shook the residents of both towns to their core. So, if anybody isn't aware of Texarkana, it's kind of like Kansas City, where there's a Kansas side and there's a Missouri side. Mm-hmm. With Texarkana, there's a Texas side and there's an Arkansas side.
So, side note, Quitman is like only like an hour and a half from Texarkana.
Texarkana, yeah. Yeah, my sister lives close to Texarkana, too. I didn't realize that The Hills Have Eyes was a documentary, is all I have to say about it. Because that's how I feel. No offense to anybody who lives out there. These brutal and heinous crimes were attributed to an alleged unidentified serial killer known as the Phantom of Texarkana, Phantom Killer, and Phantom Slayer. The perpetrator remains unknown to this day and is credited with attacking 8 people, 5 of which died in a 10-week period. This string of crimes would later be known as the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. The attacks occurred at night on weekends between February 22nd and May 3rd, targeting male-female pairs. The first 3 attacks were at lovers' lanes or quiet stretches of roads on the Texas side. The 4th attack occurred at an isolated farmhouse in Arkansas. The murders were reported nationally and internationally by several publications and caused a state of panic in Texarkana throughout the summer. Residents armed themselves and at dusk locked themselves indoors while police patrolled streets and neighborhoods. Stores sold out of guns, ammunitions, locks, and many other protective devices. Some youths attempted to bait and ambush the killer, which is super fucking dangerous, by the way. Like,
don't do that.
That's why, no, and, like, I think we all want to root for vigilante justice, but, like, in the end, it's so fucking dangerous. So February 22nd was the first attack. At around 11:45 p.m. on Friday, February 22nd, 1946, Jimmy Hollis, age 25, and his girlfriend, Mary Jeanne Larry, age 19, parked on a secluded road known as Lover's Lane after having seen a movie together. The area was approximately 300 feet from the last row of city homes where present-day Central Mall is located. Around 10 minutes later, a man wearing a white cloth mask, which resembled a pillowcase with eye holes cut out, appeared at Hollis's driver's side door and shone a flashlight in the window. Hollis told him he had the wrong person, to which the man responded, "I don't want to kill you, fellow, so do what I say." Both Hollis and Larry were ordered out of the driver's side door, and the man ordered Hollis to take off his goddamn breeches. After he complied, the man struck him in the head twice with a pistol. Larry later told investigators that the noise was so loud she had initially thought Hollis had been shot, but it was actually his skull being fractured.
Jesus.
Thinking the assailant wanted to rob them, Larry showed him Hollis's wallet to prove he had no money, after which she was struck with a blunt object. The assailant ordered her to stand, and when she did, told her to run. Initially, she tried to flee toward a ditch, but the assailant ordered her to run up the road. Larry spotted an old car parked off the road, but found it empty and was again confronted by the attacker, who asked her why she was running. When she said that he had told her to do so, he called her a liar before knocking her down and sexually assaulting her with the barrel of his gun.
That's disgusting.
Fucking insane. The amount of psychological torture that would be.
I know.
Oh my God. After the assault, Larry fled on foot, running a half mile to a nearby house. She woke the residents of the house and phoned the police. Meanwhile, Hollis had regained consciousness and alerted a passing motorist who also called the police. Within 30 minutes, about 30 minutes, God, that's so long. Within 30 minutes, Bowie County Sheriff W.H. Bill Presley and 3 other officers arrived at the scene of the attack, but the assailant had already left. Larry was hospitalized overnight for a minor head wound, and Hollis was hospitalized for several days to recover from multiple skull fractures. Hollis and Larry gave differing reports of their attacker. Larry claimed that she could see under the mask that he was a light-skinned African American. Hollis alternately claimed it was a tanned white man and around 30 years old, but conceded he could not distinguish his features as he had been blinded by a flashlight. Both agreed that the assailant was around 6 feet tall. Law enforcement repeatedly challenged Larry's account and believed that she and Hollis knew the identity of their attacker and were covering for him, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Why would they cover for their attacker?
Right, exactly.
That's just how policemen thought back then. It's fucking weird.
Everybody was a suspect.
For real. All right, so March 21st. Now this is March 24th is the first double murder. So Richard L. Griffin, age 29, and his girlfriend of 6 weeks, Polly Ann Moore, age 17, were found dead in Griffin's car on the morning of Sunday, March 24th, 1946, by a passing motorist. The motorist saw the parked car on Lover's Lane, 100 yards south of U.S. Highway 67 West in Texas. The motorist at first thought that they were both asleep. Griffin was found between the front seats on his knees with his head resting on his crossed hands and his pockets turned inside out. Moore was found sprawled face down in the back seat. There's evidence that suggests she was placed there after being killed on a blanket outside the car. Griffin had been shot twice while in the car. Both had been shot once in the back of the head, and both were fully clothed. A blood-soaked patch of earth near the car suggested to police that they had been killed outside the car and placed back inside. Congealed blood was found covering the running board, and it had flowed through the bottom of the car door. A .32 cartridge casing was also found, possibly ejected from a pistol wrapped in a blanket. No extent reports indicate that either Griffin or Moore was examined by a pathologist. Contemporaneous local rumor said that Moore had been sexually assaulted, but modern reports refute this claim.
Really?
So the person staged them. That's really bizarre.
Yeah.
So on April 14th is the second double murder. At around 1:30 a.m. on Sunday, April 14th, Paul Martin, age 17, picked up Betty Jo Booker, age 15, from a musical performance at the VFW Club at West 4th and Oak Street. Martin's body was found at around 6:30 a.m. later that morning, lying on its left side by the northern edge of North Park Road. Blood was found on either side of the road by a fence. He had been shot 4 times through the nose, through the ribs from behind, in the right hand, and through the back of his neck.
God, shot through the fucking nose?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I don't even like bumping my nose with my hand.
No, that was probably insanely painful. Booker's body was found by a search party at 11:30 a.m., almost 2 miles away from Martin's body. Her body was behind a tree and lying on its back, fully clothed. It was posed with the right hand in the pocket of the buttoned overcoat. Booker had been shot twice, once through the chest and once in the face. The weapon used was the same as in the first double murder, a .32 automatic Colt pistol. Martin's car was found about 3 miles from Booker's body and 1.5 miles away from his body. It was parked outside Spring Lake Park with the keys still in it. The authorities were not sure who was shot first. Sheriff Presley and Texas Ranger Captain Manuel Gonzalez said that the examinations of the bodies indicated they had both put up a terrific struggle. Martin's friend, Tom Albritton, said that he did not believe an argument had happened between the victims and that Martin had not had any enemies. So that would kind of dispute what the first attack, how the police thought that they knew their attacker.
Right.
That would kind of dispute that, if these are all connected.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so May 3rd is the fifth and final murder. On Friday, May 3rd, sometime before 9 p.m., Virgil Starks, age 37, and his wife Katie, age 36, were in their home on a 500-acre farm off of Highway 67 East, almost 10 miles northeast of Texarkana. He was sitting in an armchair reading the newspaper when he was shot twice in the back of the head from a closed double window. Hearing the sound of broken glass, Katie came from another room and saw Virgil stand up, then slump back into his chair. When she realized he was dead, she ran to the wall crank telephone to call the police. She rang twice before being shot in the face from the same window. She fell, but soon regained her footing and tried to get a pistol from another room. God, she was fucking hit twice in the face.
I
by
know,
a
and
gun.
fucking still just like gotta get my gun.
I mean, God, we can't even walk without falling down. She rang twice before being shot in the face. She fell, but soon regained her footing and tried to get a pistol from another room. She was blinded by her own blood.
Oh,
I know that's got to be so terrifying. She heard the killer at the back of the house and fled out the front door. She ran barefoot across the street to her sister and brother-in-law's house. Because no one was home, she ran to a neighbor, A.V. Prater's house, gasped that Virgil's dead, then collapsed. Prater shot a rifle in the air to summon another neighbor, Elmer Taylor, who Prater sent to collect his car. Taylor complied and, along with the Prater family, took Katie Starks to Michael Mager Hospital, now known as Miller County Health Unit. Starks was questioned in the operating room by Miller County Sheriff W.E. Davis, who became head of the investigation. 4 days later, Davis talked with Starks again, and she discounted a circulating rumor that Virgil had heard a car outside their home several nights in a row and feared being killed. So that never happened.
really?
Right.
What, were they just like making shit up?
I don't know. It kind of seems like it. And I'm not even sure how this is even connected as far as like the fifth murder, because that's not, I mean, the only thing that seems to be the same is that it was off of Highway 67 and that they were a married couple.
Right.
Or like a couple. Like it doesn't, right. I mean, the way that they were even killed, I mean, besides being shot, is so different. It seems less personal, right? Because he's shooting, the first attack came from outside of the house.
Outside and through the window.
Right. Where in the other accounts, especially the first account, he was like right up in their face, and spoke to them. Due to the popularity of the case, there were a number of false confessions investigated by both the Texas police and the Arkansas police. Throughout the investigations of the Phantom Killer case, almost 400 suspects were arrested, but there has been no convictions, and the cases of the Texarkana Moonlight murders remain unsolved. There were a couple, suspects that kind of, stood out. One in particular was a guy named Ewell Sweeney, and he actually was named and in a book that was written about the Moonlight murders, and they think that this guy was actually the one who committed all the crimes.
Really?
Because so Ewell Sweeney was a 29-year-old car thief and counterfeiter. He was arrested in July by Detective Tackett, who was on one of the cases at the time in 1946. But he also was investigating car thefts after realizing that on the night of the Griffin Moore murders, a car had been stolen in the area and a previously stolen car had been found abandoned. So Tackett thought that, this could possibly be a clue that the person, whoever killed Griffin and Moore, had previously, had stolen that car.
Right.
So they automatically thought that Sweeney was a good suspect in the murders. Sweeney's wife, Peggy, confessed in great detail that Sweeney was the Phantom Killer and had killed Booker and Martin. Her story changed in some details across several interviews, and the police believed that she was withholding information due to fear of Sweeney or of incriminating herself.
Do we know how she knew? Did he confess to her, or did she witness things?
It doesn't say exactly, because she did recant her confession, and she was considered an unreliable witness.
Okay.
She also couldn't testify against her husband for some reason.
Really?
It says she could not be compelled to testify against her husband.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But here's the thing. Even though she had recanted her confession, law enforcement officers still worked for like 6 months to try to validate Peggy's confession. But they found out that on the night of the Booker Martin's murder, the Swinneys were sleeping in their car under a bridge near San Antonio, which is miles and miles away from Texarkana.
Right.
So Swinney was actually never charged with the murder and was instead tried and imprisoned as a habitual offender for car theft. But there is somebody, so there was like I said, there was a book that was written, and the author, whose last name was Presley, reported that in his 2014 book that investigators in the Swinney case later said the sentence was effectively a plea bargain, though the case files indicated no formal agreement. So apparently, Swinney was concerned about being sentenced to death for the murders, so he agreed to not contest the habitual offender charge, and in fact, tried to plead guilty despite the charge requiring a jury trial. Their alibi in San Antonio, like, I don't know. That seems like that's pretty
legit. I mean, that would be like a 5-hour drive.
Yeah. And back then, probably even longer because cars didn't go as fast.
Yeah.
And, the roads were shitty.
Right.
I don't even know if there was a straight shot. I mean, there's not a straight shot.
1946, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I'm like imagining horse and buggies.
I know. You're like the Amish.
Yeah.
So there were some other people who confessed. There was a guy named H.B. Duty Tennyson. Henry Booker Duty Tennyson was an 18-year-old university freshman who died by suicide on November 4th, 1948, leaving behind cryptic instructions which directed investigators to a suicide note in which Tennyson confessed to the Booker, Martin, and Starks murder. He had played trombone in the same high school band as Booker, but they were not friends. Investigators were unable to find any other evidence linking Tennyson to the murders. James Freeman, a friend of Tennyson, provided an alibi for the night of the Starks murders, stating that he had been playing cards that evening when they heard the news of the attack. Also, if Henry had done it, he would have been 16 at the time.
So pretty young.
Really young. Yeah.
For all of that.
Correct. There was also another guy named Ralph B. Bowman. And he was a 21-year-old ex-Army Air Force machine gunner who had claimed to have awoken from a state of fugue, which is a dissociative psychogenic phenomenon. So it's basically like amnesia.
I've never heard of that.
Me either. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore or if it's just a disassociation.
Right.
But he claimed to have woken from a fugue state of several weeks on the day of the Starks murder, with his rifle missing. He said that he heard about a suspect matching his description and hitchhiked to Los Angeles, feeling like he was running from murder. On May 23rd, he told Los Angeles police that he thought he might be the Phantom. I'm my own suspect, he said.
Oh.
Police arrested him, but Gonzalez stated that the several parts of the man's story had little basis in fact. Bowman said that he had been discharged from the AAF for being a psychoneurotic, and he had previously confessed to killing 3 people in Texarkana in a period of 3 days, which did not match the timeline of the killing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's a ton of these. There's about 4-5 more, but I'm not going to go into them. But those are probably the top 3 that I thought were pretty interesting.
No, those are interesting.
So really, they have no idea. They have no clue who did these crimes, and they may not ever know. I mean, obviously, we probably won't ever know. And I'm not even sure that the last shooting was even connected, to be honest.
It just doesn't seem related at all.
No, and it's almost like the last murders were like a crime of opportunity. Like whoever decided to shoot these people knew that the police were on to a supposed serial killer, and maybe like took advantage of that. You know what I mean?
And just
as far as
trying to get their own, like, might as well murder somebody while I can type of.
Yeah, or they might have had, some kind of beef with that couple, or and just decided that it would be an opportune time to get away with murder, basically.
I don't know.
But anyway,
if you know this, but Texarkana, I don't want to say that they're proud of these murders, but it's definitely like a money-making opportunity for them, and they have every year around Halloween a screening, like a town screening of the town that dreaded sundown.
On which side? On the Texas side or the Arkansas side?
On the Texas side.
Ugh, that doesn't surprise me.
And there actually was a sequel. A copycat killer comes back to Texarkana at during one of the screenings and starts killing people.
I have a lot of problems with that. Number one, it's kind of stupid that they're like capitalizing on these people's murders.
Exactly.
Number two, I hate fucking sequels, and they never are good. And I don't know why people insist on making Halloween 14, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for instance. Why? Why does it have to be more than just the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Honestly,
Stop.
I hear what you're saying, but like some sequels are very good. Like Ghostbusters 2.
Okay.
Way better than the first one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Honestly, you know what? Let's talk about this for a second. And you can edit it out if you want to, because I don't know, like, I remember seeing it as a kid. It is literally Matthew McConaughey's best role ever, in my opinion. And whenever I'm telling people about this Texas Chainsaw Massacre, nobody fucking remembers it. And I showed it to Todd, and it had a major impact on him. And I'm like, what? Why does nobody remember this? But have you seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation with Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey?
No, because I'll tell you why. I don't do sequels.
You need to watch it. Allegedly, Matthew McConaughey doesn't even remember making it. He was so fucked up. But
well, that doesn't surprise me.
It is literally like, you know how Matthew McConaughey just is Matthew McConaughey in every fucking role? This role is like, it blows my mind. Like, the acting is superb. So give this man as many drugs as he wants, and let's stretch his abilities, because I thought he did a damn good job.
I love Matthew McConaughey. And you know what? You know who I love more than Matthew McConaughey, which is kind of crazy, and I didn't know I could even do this? Woody Harrelson. And I love that Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey are possibly related.
That's what I hear. Honestly, like, not to hate, but Matthew McConaughey's boring as fuck to me. But that one role that he has, amazing.
I didn't really care about him that much until True Detective came out.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, hold up, drop what you're doing. Let's look at what this is going. Let's see what's happening here. And honestly, fucking loved him. Plus the whole possibly related to Woody Harrelson. If you're related to Woody Harrelson, even if you're standing next to Woody Harrelson, you're a little bit cooler.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's true. Woody Harrelson.
God, I love that man. Oh, love him. Well, I think that's it. I think that concludes this episode for episode 6.
I think so. It was a long one, I think.
It was. It's a very long one. But a lot of information, a lot of frustration. Just another Sunday, honestly.
It's true.
C'est la vie, ma